I'm a little nervous. I don't know I don't know what you're about to show me. Muay Thai is like a kickboxing from Thailand. It's their everything. It's like their football, American football. It was my first love in mixed martial arts. So it's the mixed martial arts that I started with. I just was kind of not headed in a good direction in my life. And I walked into a gym and a Thai man called me fat. So I was like, shoot. So I signed up with lessons with him, and we immediately, dropped 30 pounds, started fighting, became extremely addicted to it, started traveling to Thailand, and it was just, I don't know, it was just something about me and fighting clicked. But usually I just go there for a reset, stay in the Thai camps, and just kind of connect to myself again. So I don't know, some people do yoga. I would go into fight camps. That's where I'd find myself.
Gina's going to want to keep it up, and Gina does have a decided weight advantage. Carano versus Pesto.
Yeah, so this is my first fight. I don't really feel like that girl should have been in there with me. It was my first MMA fight, and but I was super nervous. Everybody, I have good hands and good stand-up, so I knew people were going to try to take me down. It would be my first time fighting on the ground. And then I don't know what happened here. I just kind of like jackhammered her. Like it just like all these bullets started raining down on her head. It felt great. That was quite the adrenaline rush. Yeah, that felt pretty good. It was the first time any women in mixed martial arts were allowed to be in the cage in Nevada in Las Vegas. So it was a start for women in the sport. I only got paid $1,000 for that fight, so I could only afford basically 20 more lessons of Muay Thai.
First MMA fight, 38 seconds, first round. Can you talk a little bit about how that felt?
It's nice because I'd had 12 one-on-one fights in Muay Thai, so I was really pretty nervous about the ground game, and it's kind of nice like finishing a fight that early and being good to go and done.
Essentially, on the day that Terror on the Prairie comes out, Ronda Rousey is in an interview, and she says this about you.
There's only one person I would come back for Gina, man.
Aww.
Gina Carano. She's the reason why I got into fighting.
Wow.
She's the reason why I knew it was a possibility. I will always be forever grateful. And
she definitely was the frontier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if she ever was like, Rhonda, I want to fight you tomorrow, I will fight Gina wherever she wants. And if she doesn't want to forever, I'm like we leave that offer there. It's just it's like a respect thing, not like a you, I'm coming to get you. It's just like, hey, if you ever want to like pull that card out, it's there.
Oh, yeah. She's always been extremely respectful of me and my career. So I take that as like an honor. And honestly, if I ever do get back in fight shape, she would be my card as well. Because, what an honor. What she did in the sport, and she's saying this about me is very, very sweet.
Rosie needs to not even worry about punching Gina. She needs a body locker and take her down when her back is against the cage like that.
So this was one of my earlier MMA fights, if not my second fight. And who I'm fighting is a veteran, Rosie Sexton, I believe her name was.
Rosie's in big trouble. She needs to get some distance and back off the cage.
I'm doing everything wrong, by the way, in this fight. Because I was still a little bit insecure about, the ground. This is really earlier on in my career.
10 seconds to go here in round 2.
It's so
big right.
Beautiful.
There's no feeling like that. I love a good knockout. It always feels like, it just feels like touching air when it hits right. I don't know what it is. And that's my Master Chan. He's the one who got me training.
Right there?
Yeah, Matt on my right, Master Chan. I need him back in my life now. I'm just a nervous person in life. I just walk around nervous. So basically just always vulnerable, I'd say. So in fighting, that just kind of escalates. So who you are as a person is who you're bringing into that cage. And once those doors lock, that's all you have. So you just have to lean into everything that you are once that cage locks.
You were commenting on how you were not proud of your ground being in this fight, some of the things that were
I was just really new at this. I was really new at the ground game. So, I wasn't getting my underhooks in there. I wasn't doing much right, but I started learning a lot after that.
You're facing the mighty Crush.
I forgot about this phase of my life. So I was Crush on American Gladiators, and it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. Like Pyramid was one of my favorite. You could just like dive at people, and it didn't hurt at all. I never hurt anybody.
Big piggyback ride for Crush and Tiffany. Tiffany trying to hold on.
It wasn't until they called me for 2 weeks before it started. And it wasn't until the day before they started filming, they're like, just please come out, please come out and be a part of our show. And I was like, okay, the only thing I'm not gonna do, I'm not gonna act. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna talk crap to the opponents. I'm just gonna be very silent, and I'll just do the physical stuff, and don't make me act, please. And they said, that's fine. I was like, okay, so we agree, I'm gonna be the mute on this. I'm not gonna say anything. And they're like, yeah. And so I was like, what's my name gonna be? And the producer that was trying to get me, he was like, you're gonna be Crushed, because you can crush someone, and America's gonna have a crush on you. And it really was a really special time.
What is American Gladiators? What is this show?
It was a show in the 80s, I believe, that they had really buffed up, gladiator types. And then they'd have like the regular, athlete come in and test their skills against them. Back then, you wouldn't get paid for fighting really barely anything, so you kind of had to have a second hustle. And so I knew that, Also making yourself valuable to the promotion, so getting as big a name out there as you can, you'd get better fights, you get better pay. I had to make myself, I had to use like the leverage of, being on American Gladiators to get my, fight promoters to really respect where I was at.
You're really not getting in the car, are you?
No.
So working with Channing Tatum, so when he smashes his ketchup bottle right there on my face, when we were sitting there, we're like, we need to do a test run. So they're like, okay, we're gonna do a test run, 1, 2, 3. He slammed that so hard into my head. I just remember thinking, oh, okay, all right, that's the way this fight scene's gonna go. But he's like powerful, and he's big, and he's athletic. So when he picks me up and he slams me on my back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how many times that can happen. But I say this with every fight scene, unless you have a good dancing partner, he's selling all of this as well. So we're being extremely physical, but it works well because we're both athletic, and he sells it, As long as you have somebody who's selling it, then you can look as mean as possible. I love this right there when he sold that into the chair. And then he really wanted me to kick him, so he put a body pad on. He's like, just kick me. And I'm like, okay, Sometimes people don't know what they're asking for when they get that, but he seemed all right with it. On Haywire, it was really great because all of the actors did their own fights, which was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor, Channing Tatum, Michael Fassbender. And it was my first movie, so I really got to experience like a high-level actors in a professional environment with Steven Soderbergh directing, and it was like everybody kept on telling me it's not going to be like this going forward. This is special, and I was like, well, they were right. They were right. It was I got introduced to it on a very high level. I mean, Steven Soderbergh is the best for a reason. He surrounds himself with people that he's worked with for 25 years. There's no disrespect on his set. No actors are questioning him. Nobody questions his vision. If all he would do is just start walking a certain direction, and everybody would just follow and know that. I mean, this man knows what he wants. And I think in a director, that's the best thing you can have. I mean, it was a really good introduction to how a director could be that brilliant. Like he's just brilliant. For my first movie, I got so, gosh, I just like really went all in. You know, I didn't talk to my parents or anything or anybody for months. I just was really present. And the moment that day ends, they don't really prepare you for like, okay, I'm just gonna get on a plane now after playing this character and being around this family, and I'm gonna go home. And my family dressed up like all these Hollywood starlets when I came home. And I was so sensitive to everything. I was like, what's happening? Why is everybody dressed up? Like I was just in a lost land. And so I ended up going to Thailand and I reset myself. And that's just usually where I go to reset. So this one's my favorite fight that I've ever done on film. Ever, yeah. This is with Michael Fassbender in a hotel room on Haywire, and it took 2 days to film, and it was just something, I just feel like there's something really beautiful about everything about this fight. Of course, you have to have a dress that's gonna be flexible enough, you know, not to rip. We had such good chemistry, me and him too, so it really never gets old. I don't usually like to watch myself, but this one I'm very, very proud of. He wasn't supposed to look at the vase. He looked at the vase. He looked straight into the vase on that. He wasn't supposed to do that.
For safety, he wasn't supposed to look into it.
Yeah, they were like, don't look at the vase, don't look at the vase, don't look at the vase. And as soon as I did it, he looked straight into it. And they're like, oh, God, okay. But again, he sold everything. But I liked bringing my Muay Thai. You can really see my Muay Thai skill in this, which was a lot of fun. Like, I'm glad these knees sold really well. He sold that. That knee was awesome. It was so good. Like, he's selling those. I'm not touching him. And that through the door right there, they were like, don't grab the door, don't grab the door. But I kicked him so hard, you know, and he had a breast pad on. But yeah. It was my favorite. We almost knocked down this set. We almost destroyed the set. Like, that's a wall that would keep on moving. I imagine there was probably people on the other side holding it up. And then after I cap them right here, I get up and they don't yell cut. So until they yell cut, you keep going. And I just sit on the edge of the bed and get up and walk around until they say cut. So it was that was my favorite. Probably my most favorite thing I've ever done on film. I'm glad it exists out there. That is something I'm so proud of. Yeah, so right there, I'm just kind of like waiting for them to call cut. Any moment now. So we had to travel down these stairs. The entire cast and crew had to travel like 6 floors down, and this is in London. I think this was like a 2-day thing as well. And I had to do this with Michelle for her moments, and then I had to do it with her stunt double the majority of the time. So I was like working doubles, like, you know.
She would go and they'd say, Gina, stay.
Yeah, that's usually what happens, yeah.
Gina, stay.
So yeah, I would always stay. Because usually, you know, my stunt doubles usually didn't have as good as technique as I would prefer. So I just, you know, and I did that. That was fun.
Is that Muay Thai? That moment?
No, that's just fancy movie shit.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, that's just like, who really does that in real life? Probably no one. So in this fight, I had to sell a lot because me and Michelle are nowhere near the same size. Those were the stunt doubles. We could not go down the stairs. That's the only thing that I wasn't allowed to do, and I was okay with that.
Yeah, that's a fall.
That was actually 2 French women stunt people who went down those stairs a couple times, and it was really dangerous because you can, you know, crack your neck on something like that. So I of course stayed and watched that in awe. You know, stunt women they're hardcore. A lot of the time they don't get to wear as much padding as, you know, the men do. But yeah, they're pretty hardcore. That was a beautiful, you know, stair fall too. I was really so proud of them. This one was my second movie, I believe, Fast and the Furious 6. And yeah, they saw me in haywire, and they were like, do you like the Fast and Furious movies? And I was like, no. And they're like, okay, just fake it. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm happy to get a job. Like, I was like, sweet, a job. It sounds cool. And my agents were like, this is huge. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm happy.
It's a job.
Yeah, it's a job. But that was a really interesting set to be on. I remember Ludacris said, like, Gina, look, you need to have a crew. And I was like, because I just came solo. And they all had chefs and, back rubbers and personal
entourage.
body. Yeah, people that they talk to about life. And I'm over there just like exploring London by myself. And I was like, I don't travel with a crew. I'm a bit of a loner. They're like, you need one. I'm like, no, I'm cool. I kind of like the loner vibe. You guys look a little stressed out. Yeah, this was a blast. This was a blast also because I was working next to Ed Skrein, the actor that I was just standing next to, and he was just so brilliant. He was so, it was like couldn't have been a better person to take on Deadpool because it's hard, to take on that comedy and like that lovable of like a person, and try to be the villain in that. And so I think that we did a really good job, like coupling up. And of course, me and Colossus have this amazing moment. I kept on telling him, bring me back for the next one, and me and Colossus can have like a relationship, It can be really funny. We can have this sweet little relationship. So this fight scene, I would have to do it with this extremely large man, like 6'7", and he was also wearing like boots with like a pole on top of his head, and we had to pretend like it was Colossus. So it was a very interesting fight scene, and we did do it in a junkyard. So I'd have to do it with him, and then they'd remove him, and then I'd be fighting by myself. So it'd be like a dance. That was a lot of fun. Nobody there. So I'd have to do the whole entire fight scene with nobody there. Yeah. Yeah, I did all that, and I'm just kidding. That's obviously CGI. Yeah, so this was an interesting moment. They really wanted me to get my actual breast out on this, and I was like, no. I said no, and they were like, no, yeah, it's fine. We'll have a closed set. And I was like, I'm sorry, that's just not going to happen. And so they actually, they said they weren't going to give me the job. And my agent and everybody were like, Gina, like, you cannot let Deadpool pass. This is huge. This is life-changing. This is career-changing. And I was like, well, this is not where I'm doing this. I'm not doing it. So I walked away, and they came back, and they had everybody and their mom call me to try to get me to do it. And I was like, no, I'm just not going to do it. And yeah, and then they just gave me the job. But, you have to make sure you put it in your contract that nobody can stunt double as well, like your breast, So you have to make sure that, like, there's not going to be any titties out right now. And I put that in because I didn't think it was necessary. And I'm glad I did, because it wasn't necessary. It would have, I feel like, ruined that whole thing. You have to be willing to walk away, I think. And I have walked away and said no so many times as that happened in my life. And I'm glad I did. I got used to saying no early. I don't see what the big deal is. It's just the word no. If I'm not what you're looking for and you need that, then you're looking at the wrong person. I actually haven't seen Deadpool.
You've never watched this movie?
No. I haven't watched some of the movies I've been in. I only watched Terror because, one, I'm proud of it. It was a moment in time. And two, there was no way to get out of it because they had me in the center of the theater.
You're like, if I sneak out right now, the entire movie...
Yeah. I was like, and I tried. It's just really hard to sit there in a room of people, like, watching something that you love so much. I guess I can equate it to, we won my state champion basketball game when I was a senior, and I've never seen that game because it's so special in my head that I like to keep that memory. I feel like if I'll watch it, it'll take it away, take away those special memories. So I just don't. I've never seen that game. I only played it, and I don't ever want to see it. This is really special. This was with my friend Latif, he does all the stunts on The Mandalorian, and he's the most talented, stunt actors I've ever worked with. I love him to pieces. He really dove into that ground hard. We could have done 100 fight scenes together. We had such good chemistry. And that little baby.
You want some soup?
I loved every scene I was in because every single time I went to set, I would learn so much from Jon Favreau. He had a special insight into my brain and how I learn, which is very rare because I learn very differently. And Jon Favreau he knew exactly how to teach me.
Obviously, you're walking into a massive IP when you're going into the Star Wars world. A massive community now around a character, and in turn, kind of you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I don't think they were expecting such a great reaction from my character. She just kind of like took over. I mean, they had all of these statistics where I was like, basically me and, little Grogu, people loved us. And The Mandalorian as well. But I don't know, my character took off and I just interacted with the fans. I loved it. I wasn't really super into Star Wars growing up, so I didn't come in with anything, preconceived, and I definitely didn't know what a big deal it was. I didn't know it was the fan base. I didn't know anything. Now I do. It was just another special moment in my life that I'll treasure, and it was a great job. I get fired off of The Mandalorian for just probably not towing the narrative of the times. When Ben Shapiro called, I wasn't I had just been through one of the biggest heartbreaks in my life, never been fired, always been, a professional, go above and beyond for any job I'm on, and feel like I just got railroaded by, the most powerful company in my industry. And so I was broken. I was broken in half. And I wasn't really ready to get out of bed. I wasn't really ready to talk to anybody. I mean, at some point I was just probably gonna call my mom and tell her to fly in, and so I could just cry for a week. But when he called, he said, I'd like to do a movie with you, and I really want you to know you have to hit back, and you have to hit back soon. And I said, okay, I can do that. I'm broken right now. I know I've been broken in half on so many different levels in my life. So at this point, I know I'm gonna get through this, but this is pretty awesome. I'll put myself together as we go. Obviously, I'm gonna be heartbroken for this, but he gave me this little diamond of hope in a really bad spot. Ben Shapiro calls me up, offers me a job. We end up in Montana shooting a Western, a non-union movie, and we attracted all the best people, all the right people. We all came together, and there was no forced masks, no forced vaccinations. It was just a very free, amazing set. My first time producing, and it couldn't have been more blessed. Because we had babies, we had horses, and nobody was injured, and it was just, I think that and Haywire are up there with my two proudest movies. Because, nothing beats your first, but this movie for me it just was a miracle. It was like a miracle movie. And it really did feel like our set was completely protected by God. Like he protected our set. Had its hand over us. It was incredible. Oh, my outlaws, my guys. They were the best outlaws. I really treasured in this movie anytime I got to be physical because it was very few and far, between. I didn't get to be as physical as I was on my other movies. So anytime I got to flip over a table or use an axe or use a gun, it just felt good. I was like, okay, my next movie, I just want to get as violent as possible because I felt like I didn't get to be as violent as I normally get to be.
Let it burn! Are you crazy? Cab wants him alive.
I think I might be done with shooting with babies for 10 years.
How much is like real baby in the scenes?
There's a lot of real baby. I mean, my brain just remembers crying real baby a lot. I was like, birth control. Like, if you don't want your girls to have babies early, just put them on a set with a baby. It's traumatizing. No, we had a really great baby and a baby that hated me. And so, like, there was some breastfeeding scenes where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I would just be looking at the director like, please make this stop. I mean, obviously not really breastfeeding, but you're faking it and this baby's rejecting you and you're like, this is hurting. Like, it's crying, somebody take it. And, but one of the babies loved me. And so that was great.
So you got half. It was not so bad.
I was always like, what baby's on set today? Because we got these scenes and I need the good baby. I need the baby that likes me. It was always a heartbreak when the one that hated me was on. I was like, oh no, it's gonna be a hard day. So I produced for my first time and it was, I'm addicted now. I really sat back and learned a lot from, the producers. And now I just want to do it again because I got to, have some input on things that I would normally not have input on. And I've been a part of this industry for over a decade now. On every level, I see what works, I see what doesn't. I get to be a part of every different department. I understand what it's like to be on film and what it's like to be behind the camera. And so I got to bring all of that knowledge to the table in a respectful way. And I really enjoyed that because I feel like, a lot of the disconnect that happens on films are lack of communication. And with me being a producer and the star on it, I could easily communicate what I felt like was, happening, and I could take care of people better, and I could make sure each department was, their morale was up, because bad morale on the set can be like a cancer stick, and it just grows. You have to keep positive, and you have to keep, moving forward. So I got to bring some really cool things to it. I got to cast my buddy Cowboy Cerrone, which was a really good moment. He absolutely is a star, and I think one day he'll look back and be like, Gina gave me a shot, because I didn't cast him as a bad guy. I cast him as a husband, as a cowboy, as somebody who would really look good in this role, and not like this prison guard MMA fighter. So I was proud of that. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah. Whose idea was Cowboy?
Mine. Yeah. I saw all these actors, and I know I'm authentic, and I come off, very authentic on camera. And so I just wanted an equally authentic person as her husband, as Hattie's husband. And boy, did we get that with Cowboy.
He's great.
He's awesome.
Excellent job in the movie.
Yeah, he's brilliant. And I'm glad to, I can't wait to do that with more people. I have a whole list of people where I feel like I could do the same thing with and just break out some stars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of how, it's interesting because that's how it happened with me. I was found and plucked out of fighting. And so I want to do that. What was done with me, I want to do that for other people. And I got to do that with Cowboy. When you watch a movie, you're going to be like, who is that though? They don't seem like everybody else. They don't seem so rehearsed. I want to know more about that person. And I think those little glitches in film really make the biggest difference. So if we would have had anybody else other than Cowboy in that place, I don't know how this movie would have been. I'm really proud it was Cowboy.
There's a really special moment at Backstage Live at the Ryman.
Gina Carano, everybody.
It was loud and it was long, and people were standing and they were cheering and they were clapping. Can you talk a little bit about how that felt, just to be in that room and to be present for that moment?
It was just really there to support. I never thought like, oh, they're going to turn that. And then I thought, it's just kind of like a wave and it'll cut away. And then, I think Dallas was like, stand up, And so I stood up and then everybody stood up and, it makes me emotional. It's really, really special.
You are very representative to the audience, the entire story you're telling.
It's kind of a crazy end to all of this. It's very special. And thank you, everyone, for that. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. You mean a lot to them. Yeah.
They mean a lot to me.